Sometimes, the people who hurt you the most are not strangers. They're the ones you trusted, cared for, maybe even loved. And when that pain hits, it doesn't just sting, it shakes your sense of self. You start questioning your worth, your kindness, even your strength. But here's the truth: being hurt doesn't make you weak. It exposes what's unguarded, what still needs healing, and what must evolve. Life will test your emotional armor, not to break you, but to remind you that your peace is not up for negotiation. You don't have to fight every insult, prove every point, or win every argument. Sometimes, the real power is in walking away with your dignity intact. This is not about revenge, it's about reclaiming your control, your emotional, mental, and spiritual control. Because when you learn how to handle people who hurt you, you stop being reactive and start being unshakable. When someone hurts you, your first instinct is often to react. You want to defend yourself, to prove a point, to show them they were wrong. But emotional control is not about suppressing your feelings. It's about mastering them. When you allow someone to pull you into anger, frustration, or chaos, you hand them the power they were looking for all along. You can't always control what others say or do, but you can always control how you respond. The moment you stay calm while someone is trying to trigger you, you win a silent victory. Because the one who controls their emotions controls the direction of the moment. Emotional control doesn't mean you feel nothing. It means you've trained yourself not to let emotions dictate your actions. It's the strength to pause before reacting, to breathe when every part of you wants to explode. That pause, that silence, is not weakness. It's strategy. People who aim to hurt you often crave your reaction, because your reaction gives them relevance. When you choose not to engage, not to stoop to their level, you strip them of their power. You turn the situation into your own lesson in composure. That's how you rise above the noise, by refusing to be dragged into it. Think about how many times you've regretted what you said in anger, but rarely regretted what you said in calm. Emotions are powerful energy, and if you let them run wild, they burn you before they burn anyone else. But when you channel that energy with intention, it becomes discipline, focus, and control. You stop being a product of other people's behavior and start becoming a master of your own. The person who hurt you expects chaos. Give them calm. They expect anger. Show them clarity. They expect destruction. Give them peace. Nothing disarms a person who feeds on your reactions more than your quiet strength. When you hold your composure, you protect your energy. You protect your reputation. You protect your inner peace. The world watches how you handle pain, and in those moments, you teach others how strong you truly are. There's a special kind of power in being unbothered, not because you don't care, but because you refuse to waste your emotions on people who haven't earned them. Your peace is your responsibility, and that means not everyone gets access to it. Let people wonder why you didn't react. Let them question how you stayed so calm. That mystery, that control, is your edge. So the next time someone tries to provoke you, remember this: your emotions are your kingdom, and not everyone deserves to rule there. Protect your crown, protect your peace. Because when you master emotional control, you stop being someone who merely survives hurt. You become someone who transforms it into power. And that's where real strength begins. Not in how loud you respond, but in how quietly you rise. When someone disrespects you, insults you, or tries to provoke you, your body reacts before your mind even catches up. Your heart races, your jaw tightens, and 1,000 words rush to the tip of your tongue. That's the human instinct: to defend, to attack back, to prove you're not weak. But reacting in that moment only traps you in the game they're playing. It gives them control over your peace. Responding, on the other hand, comes from strength. It's not about being silent because you're afraid. It's about choosing silence because you refuse to waste your power. Responding means thinking before you speak, observing before you move, and understanding before you decide. It's the pause between what happens to you and what you do about it. That pause is where your strength lives. Most people live in reaction mode. They let anger lead, pride speak, and pain decide. But those who learn to respond with purpose are the ones who stay in control no matter how chaotic things get around them. When you respond, you're not trying to win an argument. You're protecting your energy. You're deciding that your peace is more important than proving a point. Silence can be uncomfortable, especially when someone is pushing your limits. But silence is not surrender. It's strategy. It makes people question their actions, their words, even their own intentions. When you don't react, you deny them the satisfaction of seeing you break. You show them that you operate on a different level, one that can't be shaken by petty behavior. People often mistake calmness for weakness, but calmness is the mark of someone who has already won the internal battle. The person who can stay composed under pressure doesn't just survive the moment, they control it. Every time you react emotionally, you hand over the steering wheel of your life. You give others the power to decide how you feel and what you do. But when you choose to respond, you take that power back. You shift from being influenced to being intentional. Not everything deserves your energy, and not everyone deserves an explanation. Some situations don't need words, they need distance. Some conflicts don't need attention, they need silence. And some people don't need a reaction. They need to see you walk away with grace. Responding doesn't mean suppressing what you feel. It means processing your emotions with awareness and acting from clarity, not chaos. It's realizing that your words carry weight and your energy carries meaning. So you learn to move with purpose, to speak when it adds value, and to hold back when silence speaks louder. Over time, you'll notice something powerful. Your peace lasts longer, your confidence grows stronger, and your circle becomes smaller but more genuine. You'll stop feeling the need to match anyone's energy because you'll know that protecting your peace is not about them. It's about you. And that's how you evolve from reacting out of emotion to responding with power. Pain has a way of revealing who we are beneath the surface. It strips away the masks, the comfort, the illusion of control, and shows us the truth we often avoid. When someone hurts you, it's not just about what they did. It's about what their actions awaken within you. Maybe it's insecurity, maybe it's fear, maybe it's the part of you that still needs healing. The pain you feel is not a punishment, it's feedback. It's life showing you where you still need to grow stronger. You can let that pain define you, or you can let it refine you. Strength doesn't come from the easy moments. It's built in the quiet nights when your heart is heavy, but you still choose to stand tall. Pain forces you to face parts of yourself you might have ignored. When someone betrays you, it teaches you to trust yourself more. When someone disrespects you, it pushes you to set firmer boundaries. When someone leaves you, it reminds you that you are capable of standing on your own. The people who hurt you are not always villains in your story. Sometimes, they are the lessons that shape your character. Without pain, there would be no reason to build strength. Without challenge, there would be no growth. Every wound carries wisdom if you are willing to listen to it. The strongest people are not the ones who never get hurt. They are the ones who refuse to let pain make them bitter. They use it as fuel. They take what was meant to break them and turn it into a reason to become unshakable. You may not realize it now, but every time you rise from hurt, you become harder to break the next time. Pain is a form of training. It builds emotional muscle. It teaches patience, resilience, and empathy. It shows you how to keep your heart soft even after it's been bruised. And that softness, that ability to stay kind after chaos, is the real definition of strength. Don't rush your healing. Strength doesn't come overnight. It's earned one painful lesson at a time. There will be moments when it feels unfair, when it feels too heavy. But those are the moments that are shaping you the most. Every scar tells a story of survival, and survival is strength. The next time you think you're breaking, remind yourself, you're not breaking, you're rebuilding. You're shedding old versions of yourself that no longer serve who you're becoming. Pain doesn't take your power away. It gives you the opportunity to claim it back. So when people hurt you, don't let it make you cold. Let it make you aware. Let it make you wiser. Let it remind you that your heart can endure more than you ever imagined. Because true strength is not found in how much you can avoid pain. It's found in how you rise after it. Every wound becomes a lesson. Every tear becomes a teacher. And every moment of pain becomes proof that you were strong enough to overcome what was meant to destroy you. Detachment is not about being emotionless. It's about choosing where your emotions go. There's a difference between caring and carrying. When you care too deeply for people who continuously hurt you, you start carrying their pain, their chaos, and their energy like it's your own. You begin to feel drained, confused, and disconnected from yourself. Detachment is the art of stepping back, not because you don't feel, but because you've finally realized that not every battle deserves your heart. It's learning to say, I see what's happening, but I won't let it enter my peace. You stop absorbing their negativity and start observing it from a distance where you can think clearly and act wisely. Many people misunderstand detachment. They think it means you stop loving, stop caring, or stop showing compassion. But that's not true. Detachment doesn't mean you close your heart. It means you protect it. You can still love people without allowing them to destroy your peace. You can still help others without letting their storms pull you under. When you detach, you begin to understand that you are not responsible for fixing everyone, proving yourself to anyone, or saving relationships that keep draining you. You realize that your peace is sacred, and not everyone deserves access to it. Detachment gives you perspective. When you're too emotionally involved, you react out of impulse. But when you step back, you begin to see patterns, not just moments. You see who consistently disrespects your boundaries, who manipulates your kindness, and who only shows up when they need something. That clarity allows you to make decisions from strength, not from guilt or fear. You stop begging for respect because you start expecting it. You stop chasing explanations because you trust your peace more than their words. Detachment helps you see people as they are, not as you wish they were. Learning to detach requires discipline. It means walking away when everything in you wants to stay and prove your point. It means choosing silence when your ego wants the last word. It's resisting the urge to fix what clearly doesn't want to be fixed. And that's one of the hardest things you'll ever do, because your heart wants connection, but your peace demands distance. True detachment is not avoidance. It's understanding that some people can remain in your memory, but not in your life. You can still wish them well, even if they no longer deserve a place near your energy. The beauty of detachment is that it gives you back your control. It reminds you that your worth doesn't depend on who stays or who leaves. You stop being emotionally available to chaos and start becoming available to peace. Detachment doesn't make you cold. It makes you clear. It's a quiet confidence that says, I no longer need to hold on to what keeps hurting me. Because when you learn to observe without absorbing, you finally become free. And in that freedom, you find the version of yourself that no one can ever take away again. Boundaries are not walls. They are doors with locks. You decide who enters, how long they stay, and what they bring with them. Too many people think setting boundaries means being harsh, selfish, or distant. But in truth, boundaries are one of the highest forms of self-respect. They are how you teach others what you will and will not accept. Every time you say yes when you mean no, you teach someone that your comfort is negotiable. Every time you let disrespect slide because you don't want to seem rude, you give silent permission for it to happen again. Boundaries are not about controlling others. They are about controlling your access to peace. It takes courage to draw the line. It takes even more courage to stand by it when people push against it. Some will guilt you for it, some will accuse you of changing, and some will walk away because they can no longer benefit from your lack of limits. But that's the beauty of boundaries. They don't push away the right people. They filter out the wrong ones. The people who truly value you will never be offended by your self-respect. They'll understand it. They'll respect it. Because healthy people recognize that boundaries don't break connection. They strengthen it. Without boundaries, you start to lose pieces of yourself. You give too much, you bend too far, and one day, you look in the mirror and realize you're exhausted from trying to please everyone but yourself. Boundaries are how you come back home to you. They remind you that your time, energy, and emotional space are valuable. You can't pour into others from an empty cup, and you can't build meaningful relationships when you're constantly betraying your own needs. When you set a boundary, you're not saying, "I don't care about you." You're saying, "I care about me too." Setting boundaries is an act of love, both for yourself and for others. It keeps relationships honest and clear. When people know where you stand, there's less confusion, less resentment, less pretending. But remember this: boundaries are not meant to be explained endlessly. You don't owe long justifications for protecting your peace. You don't have to convince anyone to treat you right. If they respect you, they'll understand. If they don't, they'll reveal their true intentions. Your responsibility is not to make others comfortable with your boundaries. It's to stay consistent with them. And yes, enforcing boundaries will cost you people, but keeping none will cost you yourself. The peace that follows a boundary is worth more than the approval you lose because of it. Over time, you'll realize that boundaries don't just protect you. They attract the right kind of energy into your life. You'll draw people who value respect, reciprocity, and clarity. You'll stop settling for relationships that require you to shrink. Because when you truly understand your worth, you stop begging for space. You create it. Boundaries are not barriers to love. They are the foundation of it. They are how you remind the world that your peace is not up for negotiation. Forgiveness is strength disguised as softness. It takes more power to let go than to hold on. Anyone can stay angry. It's easy to build walls and harder to open your heart again. But when you forgive, you prove that what they did no longer defines you. You take back the control they once had. You show yourself that you can rise above the wound instead of letting it define your identity. You stop being the victim of your past and start being the author of your future. Forgiveness doesn't erase what happened, but it reclaims your power from it. There's a misconception that forgiving means you're weak, that you're letting people off the hook. But forgiveness doesn't absolve them of their actions. It simply releases you from being chained to them. You're no longer waiting for an apology to move on. You're no longer seeking revenge to feel better. You're no longer holding on to bitterness that poisons your peace. You begin to understand that forgiveness is not about fairness. It's about freedom. You can acknowledge the pain without carrying it. You can remember the lesson without reliving the suffering. When you finally forgive, something shifts inside you. The anger fades, the hurt loses its sharpness, and the situation stops defining you. You start to feel lighter because you've decided to stop dragging the past into your present. Forgiveness is how you tell your pain, "You don't control me anymore." It's how you turn wounds into wisdom and scars into strength. You can move forward with compassion, not for them, but for yourself. Because in the end, forgiveness isn't a gift you give to someone who hurt you. It's the gift you give to your own soul, so you can finally be free. Closure is something we all crave. We want to understand why someone did what they did, why they walked away, why they changed, or why they hurt us. We think if we could just get an explanation, maybe the pain would make sense, maybe we could move on. But the truth is, closure doesn't always come in the form of answers. Sometimes the person who hurt you can't give you closure because they don't have the courage, the self-awareness, or the honesty to face what they did. They may never admit the truth, not because you're unworthy of it, but because they can't confront their own actions. Waiting for them to give you peace is like waiting for a storm to apologize for raining. You don't need someone's explanation to move forward. You don't need their apology to heal. Closure is not something you get from others. It's something you create for yourself. It's the moment you decide that your peace is no longer tied to their behavior. It's when you stop replaying the story and start rewriting it. Some people will leave you with unanswered questions, but unanswered questions don't mean unfinished healing. You can still let go without understanding every detail of why it happened. Sometimes the only explanation you need is that it's over and it's time to move on. Chasing closure often keeps you stuck in a cycle of waiting. Waiting for them to see your pain. Waiting for them to feel remorse. Waiting for them to finally tell you what you deserve to hear. But waiting keeps your heart anchored to a moment that already ended. You start living in the past, searching for reasons that may never come. The longer you chase their truth, the further you drift from your own. The reality is, some people simply can't give you what you're asking for, because it would require them to face the very parts of themselves they've spent years avoiding. Closure comes when you stop needing them to make it right. It comes when you accept that what happened happened, and you don't need their validation to heal from it. You take that pain and turn it into purpose. You take that confusion and turn it into clarity about what you'll never tolerate again. You stop replaying their words and start rewriting your narrative. You realize that closure isn't about understanding them. It's about understanding yourself. You learn that peace doesn't come from their honesty. It comes from your acceptance. And one day, you'll look back and realize you no longer need to know why. You'll stop wondering what went wrong. Stop waiting for that apology that never came. Because you'll see that closure was never theirs to give. It was always yours to claim. You'll find peace, not in their explanation, but in your decision to let go. You'll understand that healing isn't about getting the truth from others. It's about living your truth without them. And when you finally reach that place, you'll see that real closure isn't about the ending. It's about your beginning. The best revenge is not revenge at all. It's progress. It's waking up every day and choosing to rise above the pain instead of sinking into it. When people hurt you, they expect you to react, to crumble, to lose focus. They want to see their actions leave a mark on you. But nothing confuses a person more than seeing you grow from what was meant to destroy you. You don't have to prove your worth through anger or payback. You prove it by how far you evolve beyond their reach. Progress speaks louder than any explanation ever could. It says, "You didn't break me, you built me." There's a certain power in moving on gracefully. Not loudly, not with bitterness, but with quiet determination. You take all that energy you would have wasted on revenge, and you invest it into yourself, your goals, your peace, your growth. You become so focused on your evolution that their name loses meaning. You no longer wake up thinking about them because your mind is too busy building the next chapter of your life. That's what real strength looks like, rising so high that they have no place in your story anymore. Progress is not about proving them wrong. It's about proving yourself right. It's choosing to believe that your future deserves more of your attention than your past does. It's redirecting your pain into purpose and letting your results speak the truth you no longer need to say out loud. When people see you succeed, when they see you at peace, when they see that their actions didn't destroy you, they feel the weight of their choices more deeply than any words could make them feel. Your success becomes the reflection of their failure to hold you down. But progress isn't just external. It's not only about money, status, or achievements. It's also emotional growth. It's being able to look back at the people who hurt you and feel nothing but indifference. It's the calm that replaces chaos, the peace that replaces resentment. That's the kind of progress that can't be measured by anyone but you. You heal so deeply that even the memory of them no longer controls your emotions. You reach a point where you can wish them well without wanting them back, where their name doesn't trigger pain, but gratitude for the lesson they unknowingly taught you. You don't have to announce your comeback. Just live it. Let your discipline, your healing, your glow, and your peace speak for themselves. The ones who hurt you will notice, even if they pretend not to. And when they do, they'll realize something powerful. You didn't just move on, you moved higher. You didn't just survive, you evolved. Because the best response to pain is not proving them wrong. It's showing that you were always destined to rise above it. Let your growth be the story they can never rewrite. Let your success be the silence that says everything. When someone wrongs you, it's tempting to give them a taste of their own medicine. You think if you act the way they did, maybe they'll finally understand how it feels. But mirroring their behavior only pulls you down to their level. It traps you in a cycle where both of you lose your integrity. When you let someone's actions dictate your reactions, you allow them to lead the narrative. Real power lies in discipline, the kind of discipline that refuses to let other people's immaturity rewrite your character. You don't need to fight fire with fire when you know how to rise above the flames. Staying composed when you're hurt is one of the hardest things you'll ever do, because your ego wants to win. It wants to clap back, to prove you're not weak, to show them you can play their game better than they can. But the truth is, when you mirror the same cruelty or disrespect that hurt you, you don't win. You lose the most valuable thing you have, your peace. Maturity is not about matching energy. It's about protecting it. When someone disrespects you, the most powerful response isn't revenge. It's self-control. It's saying, I won't let your behavior turn me into you. People will test your character, intentionally or not. They'll gossip, lie, manipulate, or try to provoke you just to get a reaction. But every time you respond with grace instead of aggression, you remind them that your peace is untouchable. Dignity is not loud. It's quiet. It's the steady calm that says, I know who I am and I don't need to prove it. The way you handle disrespect says more about your strength than any comeback ever could. Let them be small. Let them play petty. You stay grounded. You stay kind. Because your character is your legacy, and nothing destroys it faster than trying to get even. When you choose not to mirror someone's bad behavior, it doesn't mean you're weak or naive. It means you're wise enough to understand that not every battle deserves your energy. You learn to disengage, not because you're afraid to fight, but because you know your peace is worth more than any argument. Silence doesn't mean surrender. It means strength. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is walk away and let your absence speak. People will eventually realize they can't provoke someone who has mastered emotional discipline. So the next time someone tries to bring you down, remember this. Your reaction defines you more than their action ever will. Don't let bitterness make you cruel or pain make you cold. Choose to stay rooted in integrity even when others choose chaos. That's how you protect your power. That's how you maintain your dignity. And that's how you win. Not by becoming like them, but by staying true to yourself in a world that keeps testing who you are. Because real strength isn't in retaliation. It's in restraint. At some point, you have to stop letting your story revolve around who hurt you and start building a life that reflects who you're becoming. Pain has a way of demanding attention. It pulls you back into memories, into moments that still sting, into emotions that feel unfinished. But living through pain and living in pain are not the same thing. You can acknowledge what happened without letting it define what's next. Moving with purpose means shifting your focus from what broke you to what builds you. It's realizing that healing isn't forgetting. It's choosing not to stay stuck in the same place where you were wounded. When you move with purpose, you stop chasing closure, revenge, or validation. You stop explaining yourself to people who have already made up their minds. You start asking different questions, not, why did they hurt me, but what can I learn from this? Not, how do I make them see my worth, but how do I show myself my worth? The moment your energy turns inward, everything changes. Pain stops being your prison and becomes your teacher. You learn to use it as a guide, not a destination. Moving with purpose means rebuilding your focus. You start putting energy into your growth, your goals, your evolution. You realize that the best way to prove you've healed is not by posting your strength. It's by living it. It's by showing up for yourself even when no one's watching. You redirect every ounce of pain into progress, every disappointment into discipline. You begin to understand that your purpose can't grow in the same space where your pain keeps replaying. You have to create distance between who you were in that hurt and who you're meant to be beyond it. This shift doesn't happen overnight. Healing is not a straight line. It's messy, uncomfortable, and at times lonely. But that's what makes it sacred. Every time you choose to get up and move forward, you're rewriting your story. You're showing the world that your scars are not signs of weakness. They're proof that you refused to stop walking. Moving with purpose means you keep your heart open, even when life gives you reasons to close it. It means you keep showing up with integrity, even when others don't. Because purpose doesn't come from perfection. It comes from persistence. When you finally let your evolution speak louder than your pain, people will see it. The same ones who doubted you, hurt you, or underestimated you will notice how far you've come. But by then, their opinions won't matter anymore. You'll be too focused on the road ahead to look back. You'll realize that your purpose was never about proving them wrong. It was about proving to yourself that you were never broken beyond repair. You were just being refined. So keep moving. Keep growing. Let your healing be quiet, and let your life become the evidence. Because when you move with purpose, every step forward becomes your loudest response.